catch me outside. How about that?
Catch you outside?
Love him or loathe him, Dr. Phil has certainly made a name for himself in the daytime talk show realm by bringing in guests with basically every psychiatric malady known to man.
If your boyfriend hits you or beats you up, stay with him. He loves you.
And at least attempting to help them get better. There have been instances where the exposure a guest has gotten on Dr. Phil's show has led to bigger and better things.
Tell me. Go back and do your research.
Oh my God, are you kidding me?
So let's break down the top 10 Dr. Phil guests across the entire spectrum.
Security, get him out of here.
From the entertaining to the terrifying to the infamous to the viral.
Am I in the Twilight Zone?
So strap in. Mother-daughter sugar babies.
I totally support my daughter being a sugar baby. In fact, I am one.
One of the more viral episodes of Dr. Phil was the mother-daughter sugar baby team of 26-year-old Rylee and her much older mom.
I do consider myself a rookie, but my daughter, Rylee, is a professional sugar baby.
If you're not familiar, sugar babies are the counterpart of sugar daddies, who basically take care of their sugar babies by paying their bills and giving them lavish gifts like cars, cash, or even homes. This relationship, most of the time, involves sex on some level.
You're okay with this?
I'm okay with this.
And that's why some people claim that it's basically the same as prostitution. Although from a strictly legal standpoint, if it was illegal to have sex after the exchange of gifts or while paying someone's bills, then most dating would be monitored by a cop. So, especially if sex isn't a precondition, it sounds like great work if you can get it.
No sex before the date.
Yeah, I always tell them I'm not a pro if you're looking for that. You're in the great city, go find one.
Something that Rylee clearly believed, as she was the one to convince her mother to also start doing the same. Rylee said that she charged $2,000 a day for her companionship, something that she would discount to $5,000 a week for her more valued customers. What made Rylee's appearance on the show so viral, outside of the fact that her mother was part of her sugar team, is that she so eloquently explained why married men who have everything to lose end up spending that kind of money to talk to someone who's often a third of their age.
Just listening, talking about other things.
So you're a relationship expert?
I feel like I am.
While she claims that they simply want companionship or someone who listens, something that she says their wives somehow stopped doing, she also admits that she has clients who have her mother and her strip down to their underwear and whip them.
He gave us each $300. It lasted for about 30 minutes.
Worth every penny, I'm sure.
It was very awkward.
Liking this video so far?
What the hell was that for? You hurt my feelings.
If you haven't already, take a second to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell. Hot for teacher.
But you were neither teaching nor coaching him.
Right, which makes it even more appropriate.
More and more, it seems that female teachers are being arrested for sleeping with their teenage students, and that was the case when it came to 29-year-old Tanya Ramirez, a former teacher and coach from Corpus Christi, Texas. What makes this case different is that Ramirez was on national television, adamantly defending her sexual relationship with a 17-year-old student.
But he wasn't your student?
No.
Well, until that night, but... Okay.
Their relationship began when the male student came into her classroom to ask her for her phone number, something that she agreed to.
I gave her my phone, she put her number in, and then the next day we started texting.
After regularly texting for a week or two, they ended up flirting. Ramirez told Dr. Phil that she felt she wasn't doing anything wrong at that point because it was not on school grounds, and because the student was beyond the age of consent in the state of Texas. While that is technically true, teachers are barred from having sexual relationships with their students because, you know, gross. So it was illegal for her to set up a date with her student, which she did at her home at 3 in the morning, where obviously they ended up having sex.
So this was a drive-by.
Unbeknownst to her, the student took a video of them doing the nasty and shared it with his friends, which ended up giving the officials at the school the heads up as to what happened. Ramirez was called into the principal's office and fired, and also ended up pleading guilty to having an improper relationship with a student, a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. She received 7 years probation and had her teacher's license revoked, which seems like a slap on the wrist, especially considering that she, again, went on national television to defend the practice. Aileen, Sandie, and Chris, the crazy love triangle.
In order to keep tabs on Sandie and I, Aileen has used several fake profiles on Facebook.
Chris and Sandie were married for years and had a child together, but ended up getting divorced eventually. After that, Chris moved out and needed to find a roommate. Enter Aileen, who responded to an ad that he placed and ended up hooking up with Chris after they had lived together for a while. This is where it gets interesting, as Aileen basically started harassing Sandie, which isn't unheard of on Dr. Phil, but it was the lengths that she went to do just that that makes her infamous to fans of the show.
When I think about Sandie, I feel disgusted.
While both Chris and Sandie have stated that they're over one another and only interact because they share a child together, Aileen seems to know better and has created numerous fake Facebook accounts to follow Sandie's every move.
I used a fake name of somebody that she went to high school with.
while constantly berating her with personal name-calling and the like. Beyond that, she's even called Child Protective Services multiple times, making up false allegations in the hopes that Sandie would lose custody of the child she shares with Chris, so that Chris would no longer have to talk to her. It turned out that Aileen had a history of this behavior, and thus, spoiler alert, basically created this love triangle in her head out of insane jealousy and presumably a mental health issue like borderline personality disorder, albeit a very extreme case of it. This is the sort of situation that can end really negatively, with people hiring hitmen or murdering their rivals themselves, which means that this is the best case scenario in this situation. When Dr. Phil is your happy ending, you know you have issues.
How did you get in here?
Well, your depressed mind invited me in.
Rylee, the talent behind Taylor Swift.
I do believe that Taylor Swift and I are soulmates.
This video has quite a few delusional people on it, and what makes Rylee's situation so different is that he's a mix of delusional and narcissistic, really unlike most in this video or elsewhere.
I believe that I've written hundreds of songs for multiple artists.
You see, Rylee claims to be the brains behind countless popular songs, like Taylor Swift's Shake It Off. Now, you'd think that it'd be easy for anyone in Rylee's life to prove to him that he didn't in fact have anything to do with something like that, as you'd really just have to ask him to prove it, to share one email or text message from Taylor Swift or her people. But clearly, for delusions like this to exist, it isn't that simple, and that's what brought Rylee's parents to bring him on Dr. Phil in the first place.
You're screaming in a restaurant, I miss Taylor.
That's definitely odd behavior.
Now, because Dr. Phil is rich and famous, he actually knows Taylor Swift through her mother, who's a close personal friend of his. And despite that fact, Rylee kept right on with his story.
Do you believe you wrote Shake It Off?
I do.
Which was important as Dr. Phil was attempting to figure out whether he was delusional or just a pathological liar. After being pushed further, he admitted that he was using drugs and that it may have interfered with his thoughts. You think? Despite that, though, he did say that he still thought that he and Swift were soulmates.
Taylor Swift and I are soulmates.
Something that I'm sure led to a doubling of Swift's personal security. Shake it off indeed.
But you said you wrote the song.
I understand. And it's just what I believe.
The sexy vegan.
My mom's a sociopathic piece of I have the highest score in hot or not history.
There are narcissists, and then there's the sexy vegan. Originally vegan Hanz
no longer fits me.
The then 33-year-old was jobless and thus relied on his mother for his financial well-being, something that his sister took issue with, which is why he was on the show in the first place.
I am the beautiful vegan messiah.
It was obvious from the jump that Vegan Hanz, who legally changed his name to Sexy Vegan, was a textbook narcissist, as he was known to wander the streets of Hollywood wearing nothing but a Speedo or really, really short shorts, while also carrying a full-length mirror so he could constantly check out how great he looked.
I'm exotic like a Lamborghini SV.
Beyond that, he had his new name, again being Sexy Vegan, tattooed on his forehead, and also claimed to be the best-looking person in existence.
I got 9.9 out of 10 after 327 women rated me. Let's see your talent. Let's see your talent.
That's narcissism for you, as his beliefs about himself are completely delusional and also are impeding his ability to live a normal life. Unless you consider a 33-year-old man in a Speedo with his name tattooed across his forehead normal. He did admit that it was taking a toll on his life, as he said he had been arrested about 15 times for various offenses, something that his mother had to both literally and figuratively bail him out of.
My mom did not bail me out of jail when she knew I was innocent.
As you know, a 33-year-old man in a Speedo wouldn't last too long in a holding cell, even in a California jail.
Different strokes for different folks.
Hopefully after reading the comments on his appearance on YouTube, he'll snap out of it. Otherwise, he'll be free to commit crimes against fashion and taste for years to come. Romina Garcia, the Anti-Feminist.
The fact that he put his hands on me means a lot to me because that shows me that he cares.
Unlike most entries in this video, then 19-year-old Romina Garcia was a viral star before her appearance on the Dr. Phil program. You see, Garcia went viral for defending one of the more abhorrent things possible, and that she was openly defending domestic assault and abuse. And it wasn't the female on male variety that you might think.
I don't have a boyfriend anymore because he wasn't beating me hard enough. So I had to break up with him, like, it just wasn't good enough for me.
But rather, she was defending both the right for men to hit women, as well as that it meant love and not hate or cowardice.
Like, I get a lot of messages on my social media asking me for advice, and a lot of girls are like, I look up to you, and I feel like I'm an inspiration to them.
Garcia clearly knew a lot about the issue, as she was sporting a black eye in the video, one that she said she received from her boyfriend, and that meant that he really loved her, because if he was risking jail time by assaulting her, that must mean he cares. Beyond her appearance on the show, it was rumored that she died from a drug overdose before her 20th birthday, something that hasn't been confirmed, although she did receive thousands of tweets from people sending their condolences to her family, from both regular people and celebrities like Kylie Jenner. If she didn't pass away, this would just be another weird chapter in her life. Here's hoping that that's the truth and she's gotten some help.
You need to appreciate your man, and if he hits you, stay with him. He loves you.
Patricia and the cancer scam.
You lost 100 pounds in 6 days. Does that make even common sense to you?
I don't know, I'm not a doctor.
Like many entries in this video, the story of Jessica and Patricia is packaged as a mother-daughter situation. Jessica is the daughter of Patricia, and they came on the show as she was desperate to find out why her mother was lying to everyone in their lives about having cancer.
You can't lose 100 pounds in 6 days unless they're cutting off body parts.
As you might assume, it was mostly about money and also about the attention and pity she received. When it came to the money, she was setting up fake fundraisers for herself, and the worst part about that, yes, worse than lying about cancer for charity, is that she wasn't using any of the money to improve the lives of her children.
So I have a question. So I lied about all this and made all this up?
It's kind of obvious.
No, I'm asking you.
See, Jessica also had a younger brother, and the home that he lived in with his mother was filthy and disgusting. Even their dog was suffering from an eye infection that was so bad that his eyes were swollen shut. In terms of attention, though, Patricia ended up on local television.
But there is no mention here of them removing your face, your ear, and your jaw.
Saying that she had stage 3 cancer and that she had survived almost 20 strokes. While she did have brain surgery at one point, it wasn't for brain cancer as she stated. The girl pregnant with baby Jesus.
Did you tell people that Eminem is your father?
Yes, I did, actually. Yeah, I did.
Whenever there's a show that focuses heavily on people with mental illnesses, there's going to be people that claim that the show is taking advantage of those folks.
I'm not stupid, I'm not crazy, I'm tired of playing these games, and it's about to be over with.
And that's exactly what happened in the case of Rylee, the delusional girl who's been on the show more than once. Her first appearance is perhaps her most infamous, as she was convinced that she was pregnant as a virgin with the Son of God.
There is no what if. I am pregnant. And it is Jesus.
After Dr. Phil both gave and showed her the results of an ultrasound, it did nothing to dissuade Rylee's belief that she was still pregnant and that faux fetus was Jesus reincarnated. Other delusional thoughts that she's presented on the show is that she's the daughter of rapper Eminem, basically because she found a picture in which a young, thin, blonde man is holding her as a baby, and because Eminem's daughter shares the same name, albeit a differently spelled version.
Can you see him?
Well, the doctor will give you any results.
What could be funny, really, just comes off as sad, as you can tell from her family how much her and their lives have been impacted by her delusions. And you can tell that she really believes what she's saying, which is only going to get more and more difficult as she ages and without proper medication or therapy.
He looks just like him. There's no way.
Marianne, the would-be mother of a stripper.
Ever since my mom found out that my dad went to the strip club 15 years ago, she's made obsessive changes to her body.
The story of Marianne is a strange and sad one, perhaps the strangest and saddest that Dr. Phil's show has ever seen.
After my mom's boob job, she actually talked me into getting a boob job.
And that's saying a lot. Everything seemed to be going okay in the life of this family, as the mother and father were still married and their 17-year-old daughter was doing well in school. However, once Marianne learned that her husband went to a strip club or two 15 years in the past, something in her brain just kind of snapped. She became obsessed by the idea of it, obsessing over not only the way she looked, but also the way that her daughter, then 16 or 17, looked and acted as well. Convinced that her daughter had to look like a stripper to get a man, she decided to pay for her daughter to receive breast implants, a lower back tattoo, all sorts of expensive makeup and haircuts, while also basically telling her daughter, verbatim, that she needs to—
What are you telling her?
Be a whore.
Be a whore in order to keep a guy.
My mom has taught me that big boobs and sex is what they're looking for, not education.
Her reasoning is that if her daughter isn't completely sexually available, that any man she's with will end up going elsewhere, which is the complete opposite of what you should teach a young, impressionable girl about her values and worth.
Are you insane?
While some say that the daughter is and was old enough to refuse the multiple breast implants her mother paid for, everyone is insecure in their teens. And if they have a parent putting things like that in their head, it's a recipe for disaster, especially when they're foregoing an education in the process. Danielle Bregoli.
What's good about it?
Well, I guess what's good for you is I made you just like how Oprah made you. You were nothing before I came on this show.
There may be no better example of someone spinning 15 minutes of fame into a career, or that our society has definitely hit rock bottom, than Danielle Cash Me Outside Bregoli.
Oh, break your camera, I swear to God! Bro, I'm about to put this water all over your camera. Whoa! Stop!
A teenager who originally appeared on Dr. Phil's show thanks to her terrible treatment of her mother. The troubled teen, who also goes by the name Bhad Bhabie, originally appeared on Dr. Phil in September of 2016.
Catch me outside, how about that?
For a segment titled, I Want to Give Up My Car-Stealing, Knife-Wielding, Twerking 13-year-old daughter who tried to frame me for a crime. Boy, talk about a mouthful title. After the audience started laughing at her, she responded with her now legendary catchphrase, "Cash me outside, how about that?" The episode and the catchphrase took off online, and Bregoli reappeared on the show in February of 2017 to discuss her life since her first appearance, and without the studio audience. The phrase was used in the chorus of a rap song by DJ Suede the Remix God, which was her first appearance into the Billboard Hot 100. That showed her that she may have a future as a rapper, and after some initial reticence, she recorded a few songs and released her first single, titled These Hoes, in August of 2017. The track reached number 77 on the Hot 100 charts, making Bregoli the youngest female rapper to ever chart on Billboard. While she's also attempted to move beyond her appearance on the show, she will forever be tied to her appearance on Dr. Phil as his biggest and, quote, best guest ever.
Oh, here go the waterworks.
We'll always be a great guest, so hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell. And don't go anywhere, stick around to check out some of our other videos.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.